afternoon. So today's video is related to the scope of the educational management. Since in my last video I had talked about the nature of educational management and I've also explained what is the meaning of educational management. So today's video will be related to the scope of the educational management. Before directly going to the scope or to discuss the scope of educational management, it's important for us to know the meaning or the term what scope means or what scope implies. Therefore, this word scope, it implies area or the boundary, and hence the educational management scope will be a very wide one because it will provide or it will perform so much of activities that happens in an educational institution. Now let us come to the topic of discussion, that is the scope of educational management. Let us just list out a scope one by one. The first scope of educational management is it will include the history and the theories of the management. History and the theories of the management, the roles and responsibilities of an educational manager. Again, I am repeating, it will include the history, theories of the management, science and the roles and responsibilities of an educational management. That is number one. The second scope will include about the study of the educational planning. The second scope of educational management is the study of the educational planning. Educational planning is also not something very strange. This is a term that we use in our day-to-day life. Because planning always means thinking before acting. We need to think and those things need to be executed or needs to be performed. So the scope of educational management will include the study of the educational planning and also the goals and the principles or the approaches of the educational planning. This will come under educational management. So that is the second scope. One more scope which we can talk about is that it will include or it will help in the decision making and the problem solving things. For example, in an institution or in an organization, so much of problems can come upon, or some problems or some decisions needs to be taken. In that case, what happens, these decision making or the solving of the problems or even in the communication of the managers, everything is done under the branch or under an educational manager. So one more scope is that it will help in the decision making and the problem solving. Next, again one more scope we can talk about is that it will include the co-curricular planning. Curricular is always there in an institution, but educational management will also include the co-curricular planning. For example, the co-curricular planning is that the co-curricular planning of an institution is that it will help in the preparation of a timetable. You can say it will help in the preparation of a timetable, or it will motivate the staff and the students, isn't it? It will organize some staff meetings, because these things we see in a school. So these are some roles of the educational management. It will also help in the conflict and the stress management. The scope of the educational management will also extend to the organization of exhibitions. Then it will also look after the staff meetings. It will organize staff meetings, faculty meetings. Again, some scope of educational management is that it will also discuss about the finances or look after the finances and the budgeting of an institution. This is very important because finances has to be there, budgeting has to be there. So finances and budget making are also looked after, or you can say the scope of educational management. Apart from the above mentioned scope, we can also discuss about students achievement, keeping in mind that students achievement needs to be evaluated or needs to have a proper record of the school events. So these are also looked after by the educational management. Educational management does not stop here. Okay, since it is a very wide subject, or the scope also is very wide and broad, because it does not stop here. If it also include the community service or what needs to be done, what need not be done. So these are everything looked upon by the educational management. When we will go through the books, we will get some more scopes, or we will get to know about some scopes in a very detailed manner. But in today's video, I have explained it in a very short and in a very easy way. Apart from this, there is one more scope of educational management. If we see that there is one more scope, is that it will provide human as well as the material equipments. Educational management will include the human as well as the material equipments. Now, when I'm talking about the human equipments, I mean the persons or the non-teaching or the office staff who are involved. And when I'm mentioning the term material equipment, by that I mean the labs or the furnitures or the museums that are involved. So, educational management will include or involvement of both human as well as the material equipments is done by the educational management. So these are some aspects of educational management also, because planning has to be there, controlling has to be there. In my next videos, I shall talk about the functions and principles and aspects in a more detailed way. But since today's video was related to the scope, I have talked about the scope. Thank you.